Well, if you're an art lover, you may have been to the Griffith Sculpture Park in the Southern Tier or the Essex Art Center on Buffalo's West Side. They were created by Larry Griffiths Jr.
You can now see the next generation's art take shape in Allentown. Mark Griffiths is debuting a 5-sculpture series called Emergence. He joins us now to tell us all about it. Mark, it is a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk Emergence. What does that one word signify to you in terms of this series?
Public art should be for the people. So Emergence expands from a 3-year-old could understand it to 93. It's people emerging from plates of steel, dancing, jumping, leaping. Art is supposed to evoke an emotion. And the emotion this piece evokes is happiness, joy, elation, and inspiration.
Speaking of inspiration, I imagine this piece takes inspiration from its environment, especially an environment like Allentown, right? Talk a little bit about how that played into how you guys had this design and how it kind of came to fruition, because Allentown is a pretty funky place, right?
Yes, I'm a Buffalo boy, so I found out about this project through the Arts Commission of Buffalo. This is a Buffalo-led, the mayor of Buffalo, 1% of each project goes to art now all over Buffalo. So I found out about it, and there was a call for artists, and several artists put maquettes in, or ideas, concepts, and mine was chosen, luckily. But for this, just specifically, art is supposed to fit with its environment. It's very site-specific. So these pieces, these 5 pieces, the size of them, the shape of them, the color of them, just the whole concept of them really works well with Allentown. There's a couple musician figures, there's children, there's people of different diversities on display, so it worked really well.
I love that you mentioned before that art, it evokes something in everyone. And this project, it's meant for legacies, for the entire family. I will say, Western New York, it truly does appreciate art. And I know art is something that runs deep in your family. What does it mean to you to see, the city's art expanding and that love and appreciation continuing to grow?
Well, it's wonderful to see a city back the artists. And my father was, Larry Griffiths Jr. was always very promoting of the local artists. So it's nice that local artists are still being recognized. And for me, this is an honor and a real opportunity to have this legacy piece. I've done a lot of sculpture work in my life, but this is the crown jewel of my existence in the art world.
That is so great. You were talking about how artworks should evoke some sort of emotion, and maybe you talked a little bit about it, but you talked about also that this one should appeal to someone who's 3 or 93 years old, regardless. And maybe this is an individual thing, because I feel like I've asked this question of other artists before, and they've said, well, it's up to the person. But how do you want people to digest this? What do you want people to walk away? Is that an individual experience? I guess it should be with art, yes. But the artist also has something in mind, right? You want to communicate something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
firstly, when we were setting it up, and we were down there for 8 hours doing the installation, and hundreds of people came by, and 99% of the people just broke out in this beatific smile when they saw it. And that's the reaction I was going for. That's the intent of the piece. And also, we saw little boys and girls running around giving the sculptures high five and trying to mimic the different jumping styles of the different sculptures. And that's really what it's all about.
That's really cool.
How special is that?
That's so neat.
To have that impact.
Yeah. It's a wonderful piece, and I'm really proud of it. And we had an incredible team. I've got about a 6-person team that worked on this.
Mark, where else can folks see your work? In addition to this, actually, tell me again where Emergence is, and then where else can folks see your work?
Well, it's at Allen and Wadsworth Street in Allentown, but I've got pieces at 2 pieces at Hilbert College. I've got pieces at Roswell Cancer Center. I did a whole church out in Swarmsville called St. Mary's. I did all the steel work for that.
Wow.
And I was a furniture designer for many years in New York City.
Very cool.
Well, I worked here, but most of my stuff went there. So I was in a lot of national magazines and so forth for that regard.
Wonderful. Well, congrats to you. Before we let you go, Mark, we are just about out of time. There is a big public event for Emergence coming up on Friday. Tell us about that.
So at 5 o'clock, they're shutting down Allentown. There's going to be an homage to the old Pink. And they're going to do another kickoff. The mayor did the installation today. Kicked it off, but then Friday is going to be there's going to be a band. I'm going to do a reception across the street. I know the owner of the building. So there'll be quite a lot of hoopla on Friday.
which is perfect for a place like Allentown, especially as we get into the weekend on a summer in Buffalo. Thanks so much, Mark. Congratulations again. This is a great thing.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you.